Solitude. It means alone, a sense of loneliness or away from other people. Sadness breeds solitude. The tone of the title is not obvious. Solitude can imply a state of being alone by choice and is not automatically negative. It can also have connotations of isolation and loneliness. The speaker, Ella Wheeler Wilcox, sounds like a celeb, addresses the reader directly. She states certain universal truths. Laugh, and the world laughs. Weep, and you weep alone. The poem speaks of the universal human condition in sharing joys and good times, but that a person is alone or solitary in their tough times. Tough time never lasts. Only tough people last. In the first stanza, the speaker states that one must face one's problems instead of seeking happiness through others. And the poet repeats the idea that happiness will attract more happiness, and sorrow will take us away from enjoying the happy moments. A complaining or sad person will be forced to live his or her life in loneliness. Let's get into the habit of saying her or his, she and he. #feminism. Form and structure is strict. The 3 stanzas consist of 8 lines each, and the same rhyming pattern is used throughout. Each stanza begins with 2 lines that compare positive and then negative emotions. Then the next 2 lines provide a commentary. Laugh and weep, and then commentary. The second half of each stanza then represents this pattern, and the first 2 stanzas focus on attitude, behavior, and actions. The last stanza, I was going to say the last, like I'm American, focuses on the end of one's life and suggests a particular approach to deal with this inevitability. Stanza 1, lines 1 and 2. World. This is a synecdoche where a part is mentioned, but the whole is meant. The first line tells a reader that if one were to laugh, then the world would laugh with you, and happiness within oneself creates happiness in others. The second line describes the opposite emotion, weep, sadness displayed through weeping, and these are opposite images. Happiness versus crying. This is a juxtaposition. Mirth. Sounds like a nice, Hindi word, mirt. This is laughter caused by happiness. And the poet argues that the earth, which is personified, has so much trouble and sadness of its own. There is enough sorrow and sadness around us, and no one really wants the burden of another's pain if it can be avoided. Lines 5 to 8, I would like to look at these lines as a whole. These lines convey the same idea as lines 1 to 4. We have personification, and we've got a hyperbole, which is a gross exaggeration. And this is exaggerating the impact. If you were to sing, then the hills would answer. You will receive a response from the world or society, and that happiness would be multiplied. Sigh. Sorrow is ignored, or is seen as insignificant. If you were to sigh, it would be lost on the air. The echoes. Echoes are personified as being happy, so we've got some personification here. To bounce or skip in response to happy sounds. The sounds of joy spread or reverberate around the world. Shrink from voicing care. People move away to avoid expressing sadness. The world will not share your problems, issues, or concerns. And the first stanza concludes that people share joy happily, but prefer that suffering is not shared. Is not shared? You experience it alone? Solitude relates to the title. Well done. Lines 9 and 10, we've got opposite images there in rejoice and grieve. If you rejoice, then others will seek you, but if you grieve, you'll be alone. We have another contrast here, juxtaposition. Learn this word, juxtaposition. These are the types of words that score you big marks. It's very higher order English. It gets those, little tunnies in the examination room jumping up and down, high-fiving each other. Wow, juxtaposition. Oh my God. I would like to think it's like that in the examination centers. Full measure in line 11. This is completeness, allness. People want to be with you totally in the good times, but they do not want to be around you in the bad times. Lines 13 and 14. We have opposite emotions here in happiness and sadness. We've got lots of friends around in the good times. When things are tough, friends desert you. Nectared wine in line 15. Sweet, delicious wine that is drunk at a celebration. Now, most of you are younger than 18, okay? Don't get any ideas here. Life's gall. This is a metaphor. Bad times compared to gall. A bitter tasting extract. Sadness, poverty, loneliness. So nectared wine and gall, life's gall, they compare and contrast each other. Line 17 and 18. The speaker presents her final set of comparisons between a happy life and a sad one, and the reactions that they provoke. Halls are crowded. Emphasizes that everyone will join in on the celebrations. Fasting is private. So now let's go back to line 17. To feast, to chow down. The food is good, my friend. There's so much of it. We're eating, we're like forcing it in our mouth. We're shoveling food down. And to fast is to not eat. Once more, a juxtaposition. And these two examples are metaphors for everyday life. Lines 19 and 20. I like this one. So the speaker refers to life and death and the way that humans deal with pain. Success and sharing the fruits of success gives purpose to life. And if you're successful and give generously to others, not only material goods, but also you give your time, your emotions, you'll live a good life. No man can help you die. You'll be alone in death. #sad. Lines 21 to 24, I'd like to look at this as a whole. So happiness is metaphorically compared to a house with big rooms that can hold many guests, where people enjoy having parties. That is a reference to halls of pleasure, while pain is compared to a narrow aisle. Halls of pleasure, we've got these broad rooms where everyone's having a good time, there's enough space, and during our pain, it's a narrow aisle. Why is it a narrow aisle? Because only one person can fit through. Further relates to our title, Solitude. One by one, just us. File on. You know, when you were little teeny tiny people in grade 1 and 2, you had to walk like little soldiers in a line, boys in one line, girls in another. And this is what our speaker is trying to emphasize here, that this metaphor, one by one, narrow aisles, it implies that people can only survive pain on their own. So we've got quite a few themes at play here. So let's talk about it. So happiness and how it contrasts pain. So happy. Next, we've got the individual versus the outside world. So I don't know. Let's try and draw like some continents here. Yeah, that's Africa. That's us. No, Africa, somewhere like that. Oh, that's the terrible rhino horn. But it's the individual versus the world. And 3, solitude. How everyone must go through pain and suffering alone. And the tone throughout this poem, it's quite satirical. There's some sarcasm. Mood, we're indifferent. We're apathetic to something. Whatever happens, happens. It is what it is. It's reflective, but it's also melancholic. It's sad. Melancholic, it means sad. Learn that word. It gets all the examiners very happy and very hyped. This is Solitude by Ella Wheeler Wilcox.